Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Lauren Cielo from Golden Rose Psychic Services.
And I'm Crystal Heinemann from Crystal Sunshine Psychic Services.
Welcome to the Metaphysical Q A podcast,
where we're making metaphysics crystal clear.
And golden delicious.
That's right. Welcome, everyone, to today's podcast. So Metaphysical Q A, if this is your first time here, it's an audio and video podcast that's going to shift the way each human views their experiences that they're having here on this earth plane.
That's right. Crystal and I are clairvoyant healers and teachers, and we think we can explain all of the human experiences we have each day in easily understood metaphysic terms.
Right. And our viewers and listeners supply the questions. That's you all. So thank you so much. We couldn't have a podcast without you. So if you would like to submit a question, would you please visit our website at www.metaphysicalqa.com. You can also visit us on Facebook and you can pose a question there too. And of course, if your question is answered on a podcast, one of us will offer you a free reading.
All right. Well, let's get to our questions for this episode.
All right. Well, we have three really great questions for today, and I'm really excited for today's podcast. So without further ado, let's get to our questions here. So question number one comes from Tina in a little town called San Diego. Maybe you've heard of it, Lauren.
I am familiar with that town, yeah.
All right. And Tina asks, what are chakras and what do they do? Question number two comes from Todd in Nebraska. And Todd asks, how can I use my chakras to heal myself? And I really like that when someone's thinking about wanting to heal themselves.
Yeah, great question.
Yeah. Question number three comes from Nancy in Toronto. And Nancy asks, is it best to open or is it best to close your chakras? So I think, I know, really great questions today. I love our viewers. So, of course, chakra being the magic word for today, how about we call this one the Metaphysics of Chakras?
That sounds great, Crystal. Now, why don't we bring in a bona fide chakra expert to help answer these questions? And by chance, do you know one?
Well, it's so funny that you mentioned that. Of course I do. Of course I do. So, of course, Lauren and I are so grateful and we're so excited to introduce to you a very, very dear friend of Metaphysical Q A, and both Lauren and I. And he is an internationally known podcast host. He's also the creator of a top-ranked podcast. And if you are not following his podcast, which is My 7 Chakras, we highly encourage you to do so. He has so much amazing content on there for you. We're just going to scratch the surface today with our podcast. But I want to welcome our special guest, Aditya Jaykumar Iyer. But of course, we call him AJ.
Excellent choice, Crystal. Now, AJ interviews healers, thought leaders, and visionaries on topics such as chakras, of course, energy healing, mindset, spirit guides, and so much more. Now, his podcast has received over 2 million downloads with listeners in 150 countries. And he calls his online community the Action Tribe. Now, spoiler alert, I've had the pleasure of being on My 7 Chakras twice, and I had a great time. So it's please welcome AJ, our special guest and chakra expert.
Hi, AJ. So we're so excited to have you today, and thanks for coming on board today.
Hey, Crystal. Hey, Lauren. It's so amazing to be here. So thanks a lot for inviting me. It's great to be here.
We feel so blessed to have you, and we're so grateful for you to join us today. So, AJ, I did a little digging. I did a little research before today's podcast because, of course, I really wanted to know more about you, and I really wanted to dive deep into my 7 chakras because chakras are one of my favorite subjects. So I wanted to share a fun fact that I uncovered. Now, AJ and I, we're a little bit of solar siblings. So I'm going to tell you that, AJ, solar siblings.
Sure.
So now AJ's name is Aditya. Am I pronouncing that somewhat okay with my California accent?
Yeah. Aditya. That's
Okay.
the pronunciation.
Okay, good.
Buh.
Now, the meaning of Aditya's name is actually Lord of Sun. Now, all of you know that my middle name is Sunshine. So I just thought that this may be a really,
Yes.
really sort of coming together of the suns, the Lord of Sun, and then we have Sunshine right here. So I'm sure we're both of us are really excited to bring a lot of sun and sunshine into today's podcast. So I thought you'd like that, AJ.
Oh, I'm really excited, especially since I live in Vancouver. I get excited whenever there's sun because the other name for Vancouver, as you probably might know, is Raincouver. So always looking forward to the sun, and it's great that you're in the sunny state.
Excellent. All right. Now, AJ, before we get into the questions that our listeners have posed about the chakras, I wonder if you could tell us, how did you get into the chakras and why create a podcast about them?
Sure. So, I mean, chakras have been a very important part of my life. It came into my life at the right moment, if I could say it that way. Years back, actually, somewhere in 2008, I came across or I experienced an accident. I was in a bad motorbike accident. And, I was on a motorbike. Somebody hit me from the right side and I was unconscious. I woke up in the hospital a few days later, knocked up solid, and I had bandages all over my face. So as you would imagine, I had many emotions and thoughts going in my mind, right? Like distress, worry about the future, what's going to happen, regret because that was the only day when I didn't wear my helmet. And so what happened at that point was I had these emotions, but I didn't really process them, right? So I just suppressed them in myself, went about like everything was normal. So that was one of the incidents that happened. Later on, I was doing a retail job, something which I initially enjoyed, but later on it became difficult because I had to stand all day, interact with customers, come home late at night. My food patterns were crazy because I would eat food at 11:30 at night, work on the weekends. And to add to it, I was not in a very supportive environment. So my team members were, like just very negative and not supportive, and I was in a phase where I was getting more and more empowered, right? So I'd learned about Les Brown and Tony Robbins and Brian Tracy, and I wanted to change my life. So all these emotions were getting stuck in me. My old self wanted to cling on and me wanting to change my life, and I didn't have a way for me to process all of those emotions. I tried meditation, but that was something that didn't come naturally to me, especially because I wasn't habitualized or didn't have the right training maybe in meditation. And lo and behold, I was so desperate for a change because I had to get it all out, that I came across a chakra balancing meditation online, and I said, why not try it, right? And so I lay down on my bed and I visualize the chakras, and I went through that guided meditation. And trust me, Lauren and Crystal, that was one of the best experiences of my life, because I'm not sure if you've seen one of those Star Wars movies where the person goes on a lonely planet and finds this old forlorn ship that hasn't been used maybe for 100 years, and they press one button and all of a sudden the lights go on and the ship is booming and they take off. That's the same thing that happened to me, because as I visualized my chakras one by one from the root up to the crown, I felt like I was a different human being, and physically I was the same, but like I always say, it felt as if the universe came through my chakras and assured me that everything was going to be all right. And that sort of created an epiphany for me, because I thought in one session I can experience this change. What if there's so much more? And I wanted to know more. I was curious, I was fascinated. I want to have these conversations with people around the world. And I said, what's the best way to start that? And I thought maybe I can start a podcast. And so that was the reason why I started this podcast, because of my personal quest. But along the journey, so many other people have been attracted, listeners and guests and people like yourself, that it's been a fun journey all along. And I'm looking forward to where this takes me in the future.
Wow, that is so beautiful, AJ. And I love that your chakras were speaking to you, and they're so
Yeah.
multidimensional and they really came out to communicate with you to really make that change in your life. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand, is that our chakras are so powerful and they are so communicative, both,
Yeah.
I mean, emotionally, physically, spiritually, right? We feel our chakras on all different levels. So it's really beautiful. I got angel bumps as you were speaking. I just find your journey just really inspiring and really, really beautiful. And what great leaders, you had to really show you the way as well. So, all right. Well, AJ, Lauren, Are you ready to impart your chakra wisdom on us and our listeners?
Yes. I mean, what I like to say is I'm ready to share my experiences, things that I've experienced, and hopefully people will relate to my experiences or maybe go on their own journey. So, all set.
Let's do it.
Our
do it.
first question comes from Tina in Lauren's hometown, San Diego. Now, Tina, she wants to know, what are chakras and what do they do?
Great question. I think this is a really important question as well. Now, before I actually get to it, I want to share something that Joseph Campbell, who was a mythologist, he once shared something along the lines of when somebody tries to or attempts to explain something spiritual, um, the moment you try to attempt to explain it using words, you're not explaining that exact thing, right? So because to him and to me as well, a spiritual experience is a very personal experience, and so it might change from person to person, but let me make an attempt. Based on my understanding, the chakras are whirlpools or vortices or doorways of energy that connect our physical bodies to the ethereal world outside of us, or to the Tao, or to the universe. So they are responsible for the inflow, the regulation, and the outflow of energy between us and the universe. And we've got numerous of these energy centers or whirlpools throughout our body. We've got major chakras, and we've got minor chakras. But basically, we've got 7 major chakras, starting from the tip of our tailbone, the root chakra, going all the way till the crown chakra. And each of these chakras correspond to a different function, and because of that they have different frequencies, different sound frequencies. They correspond to different light frequencies, and the goal is to ensure that these chakras, just like a river, flow well, right? And if there's something that's blocking your chakras, that's when there's an issue, an illness or a discomfort, and I'm sure we can get more into that. But basically, the chakras are these doorways of energy between us and the universe, and when there's energy flow that's properly flowing, then we have peak health, vitality, we feel great, our emotions are nice, our thoughts are streamlined, and all things are great. Now, the other thing I want to also mention is that I like to use the metaphor of the SSD card and the actual hard drive. We as humans can only process a limited amount of thoughts and emotions. And the hard drive is somewhere out there. It's the Akashic records, right? And so the chakras are very intelligent in the sense that whenever we need a particular thought, an experience, a memory, a wisdom, or emotion, they bring it to our bodies. And whenever those emotions no longer serve us, they go back into the universe. The problem arises again is when there's some sort of a block, an emotional block or a thought block that blocks this inflow and outflow. And that's when the issue arises. Now, the interesting part again is that these chakras, although they are energy centers in our body, the chakras can be mapped to the human life cycle as well. Do you mind if I go into that?
No, please.
Okay. So basically, each chakra, like I said, corresponds to a particular emotion or an archetype of the human life. When we are born, for example, for the first 7 years, we've got 7 major chakras, but for the first 7 years, we experience symptoms of the root chakra. And the root chakra stands for survival, protection, food, shelter, and clothing. And if you think about it, the first 7 years of a baby's life is all about that. They're not concerned with altruism and heart connection or community. They're concerned with, am I going to be alive in these first 7 years? And that's the root cycle that everyone experiences. The next 7 years, 7 to 14, is the sacral cycle, which means all about creativity. So they're all, if you see kids, they're so fascinated. 7 to 14, they pick up a crayon and they start coloring. They tap into their imaginations. They see fairies, they see unicorns, and they're all about that. And the other thing is, they also at this stage develop their reproductive sexual organs. So they're very curious. They want to know more about who they are themselves and how they can express their creativity sexually as well as in other forms. And so this is a very important period as well. Right after that, the next cycle, next 7 years, 14 to 21, is where you have the solar plexus experience, or the solar plexus phase, which is all about, now that I know or I've experienced I've survived, I have expressed my creativity to a certain extent. Now it's all about personal power. I want to exert my personal will, my logic, and I want to transcend beyond creativity and express who I am on this physical plane that I call Earth. And so that's the solar plexus chakra. And after that, next cycle is 21 to 28. That is the heart chakra. And that is when the person goes beyond exerting just physical force and willpower to a deep heart connection. So heart connection could be bonding with another mate and starting a family. That could be a beautiful unconditional heart phase of your life. It could also be in finding community that finally knows, likes, and trusts you, supports you no matter who you are and what you stand for. That's a heart phase, 21 to 28. Beyond that, we move on to the what comes after heart is the throat chakra phase, where we say that, okay, I've survived, I have expressed my creativity, I've expressed my willpower in terms of who I am logically and literally. I found community, maybe I've started a family, but now it's going beyond that. I want to be a leader and express my voice, literally and metaphorically, express who I am, no longer keep things within me and express my ideas and my thoughts. That's the throat chakra phase. Then we move on to the third eye phase, which is the next phase. I've lost touch in terms of what exactly the age, but it's the next 7 years, where it's all about, now that I've expressed my voice literally and metaphorically, now it's about connecting psychically, connecting clairvoyantly, using my leadership, but not logically making a decision, intuitively making a decision. That's got to do with activating the pineal gland and the pituitary gland as well. And finally, the last phase of life, although we as humanity are increasing our lifespans, but the last phase of the chakra life cycle is the crown chakra, where you go beyond just survival, just individual heart connection, beyond expressing your voice, and beyond psychic connection as well, where you now connect to the universe. You have an all sense of knowing, and you know the truth. And the truth, as we all find out, is oneness, is that there's no differences. We're all the same. And so I like to map the chakras not only physically in our body, but also through our lifespan, because we can understand, no matter what age we are at, some of the symptoms of the corresponding chakra. So that's a short overview of what the chakras are. And again, it's so fascinating, right?
Wow, that was great. Thank you so much. See, I'm so glad we brought in an expert.
Yeah, me too. I love learning. That's the thing. I love learning. So I love the way that you shifted my space with that information. So thank you. Wow.
Well, let's take a peek at Tina, and I'm going to take a peek at Tina's chakras, and let's see their current state of being, if we could. Hang on, let me take a peek. Tina, your most active chakra right now is your third eye, and it looks bright yellow to me. And whenever I see yellow energies, it's always about logical order. So what I think you're trying to do is you're trying to make sense of what you see. And I know here in San Diego, we've been going through a lot of border issues, maybe I might say. And I know for some of us more sensitive people, it's been very difficult to know what's going on. I always say this: I can see the lights of Tijuana from my living room window. So, honey, I'm going to send my Anki Yaya. You probably know him. I'm going to send him to work with you. And I just want to remind you, because I feel there's some sorrow in what you're looking at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Anki Yaya come to you and really maybe add to your information about what you're looking at, and just to kind of help you, like AJ said, maybe move up to the crown chakra, where there we realize that everyone is making their own decisions on how they're living through this time. So I know it's very difficult, but those that are involved in those, in the border disputes or whatever you want to call it, they signed up for that. Just the way we signed up to witness it. So I know it's very difficult. Maybe you're like me and you'll, send your guides and angels to bless all of those who have made those decisions in their life. But again, maybe as you look out at the world, for the next few months and years, maybe you can pop up to your crown chakra and have that knowingness. And I'll tell you what really helped me do that. I was right when I got Anki Yaya, I'm like, yes, I can heal everyone now. Yes. And so I saw this gentleman in the gutter here in I live very close to the city proper, and San Diego's not a big city. I know you know that, but there was a homeless person in the gutter, and I said, Anki Yaya, go give him a healing. And he said, okay, I'll do it, but why do you think he needs a healing? And I said, well, look at him. And he said to me, he goes, do you know what? This particular soul has had lifetime after lifetime after lifetime of affluence and status. And he wanted to experience this lifetime. And it was every single decision that he made from where he is to when he was born, put him there on purpose. So my lesson was not to judge a book by its cover, maybe. So Tina, honey, I hope that helps you. Thanks so much for your question. I know it's hard. All right, AJ, Todd in Nebraska wants to know, how can I use my chakras to heal myself?
So, I mean, I think that's a great question. I think at the end of the day, I feel the chakras have a higher sense of understanding and wisdom and intelligence, and they know whether you need healing or not in the first place, because as we're learning each and every day that each of us has a soul contract, and so we have in many cases chosen these experiences that we want to have, and the good thing to do is just to start working on your chakras and to ensure that the energy is flowing once again. And so there are different ways in which we can ensure that, especially if your chakras are currently clogged or maybe blocked because of certain challenges that you might have had, certain memories or experiences that you've not been able to let go. So one way, and I think the most common way and popular way to heal your chakras is by visualizing them, because the power of intention is really amazing. And so what I tend to do is I, meditate, close my eyes, and I spend some time to visualize each and every chakra, and I do it before and after. So before, maybe I'll visualize like my root chakra is a faint red, it's not glowing, or there's some sort of thing that's clogged within, and then I visualize that it's now spinning, it's becoming radiant, it's becoming vibrant, it's becoming larger in size, it's becoming more luminous. And so going over that visualization for each and every chakra, that experience itself has a very healing therapeutic quality. But the thing is that not everyone is good at visualization. And that's what we're learning, right? Even children, not every child studies or absorbs information the same way. And so visualization does not come naturally to some, it takes practice. And so the good part is there are different ways in which you can balance and heal and cleanse your chakras. And visualization is just one of the ways. So the other way that I encourage my audience to do or to heal their chakras is to try sound healing, because you've got different vibrations that sort of stimulate and remind the chakras once again of the blueprint of life. And so you can use sound to heal, and so you've got these wonderful healing bowls that you can either purchase, or you can go to a workshop where they have a healing bowl session, and that has a wonderful that's a wonderful experience. And you can also use your bija mantras, which are seed sounds that you can create yourself in order to heal your chakras, and each chakra has a corresponding bija seed sound. For example, if you want to heal your crown chakra, you would say Om. And so you've got different sounds that can stimulate and remind your chakras once again to flow and of that peak human experience, peak vitality. So sound is one. The other one that I really love is essential oils, and you've got different essential oils that automatically, as soon as you smell them, they have a way of healing your chakras. You've got different essential oils for different chakras. What I like a lot is tea tree oil. I love eucalyptus because it has a way of opening your lungs, letting you breathe once again. You've got lavender, which is purple in color, and that helps open your third eye and crown chakra. So you've got different essential oils which are highly encouraged because it comes naturally, and it's easier, in my opinion, compared to visualization. You can also heal your chakras using your hands, because if you see your hands, they've got minor chakras within them, not major chakras, minor chakras. And all throughout the history of humanity and in different traditions, if you notice that the deities and the gods, what are they doing? They're holding out their hands, right? Even in India, they hold out their hands because everyone knew that the hand has a healing quality. And so, um, even if you just, do something like this, that's what they do in qigong, right? You're sort of starting the vibration and ensuring that your chakras are able to flow once again. So your hand has a very amazing healing property and quality. And so doing qigong and doing even yoga, so yoga is not just you do a lot of hand gestures and hand movements, but it's moving your whole body, right? Using postures and asanas and breath work. And so yoga and different postures can also be amazingly powerful to heal your chakras. And the other thing that I love is crystals. Crystal. So crystals can be amazing as well. But here's the thing. Sometimes in this pursuit of spirituality and of letting go, the challenge is sometimes you might want to attract more and more material things, and all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, I want to heal my chakras, but now I gotta buy a singing bowl, and I gotta buy different sizes of singing bowls, and I gotta buy crystals, and I gotta buy 7 crystals, and I gotta do this. And so it's like you don't want to go there, right? You just need to know how much you need, and depend solely on yourself. And that's why for sound healing, I encourage using your own body and creating that primordial sound, which is so powerful in healing yourself. And as far as crystals, I don't have a lot of crystals, but what I do love is my rose quartz crystal. It's, you know, in my opinion, the heart is the most powerful chakra. And I might be wrong, but to me, the heart is the most powerful chakra, because what people have realized, in fact, as they're transcending and passing away, is that unconditional love is the most powerful force that there is in the world. And what is unconditional love? It is the heart. And so, and many times I just use the rose quartz crystal to hover it on top of my different chakras, and it has an effect of healing my chakras. And it is powerful. And the thing is that you need to find out what way works best for you. Not all ways will work for you. And the way I like to think of it is that chakra healing and chakra balancing and spirituality is like going on a journey. It's like ascending the mountain. um, you don't want to learn too much about it, because you'll miss out on the experience. So try out different styles, try out different ways of doing so, and find one that works for you best, because you'll know it deep down. The more you trust your intuition and your knowing, you'll know it. And maybe all work for you, or maybe one or two work for you, but at the end of the day, it's about what type or style works for you.
That was so good. That was so good. Well, of course, I was doing what we do is I was taking a peek at Todd while AJ was really giving a beautiful take on how to heal with your chakras. And it's no accident that AJ brought out the rose quartz, because what I saw in you, and of course, I don't believe in any accidents, right? Everything usually plays right in. And what I saw for you, Todd, is that how best to heal and work with your chakras. Really, what wanted to talk to me was your heart chakra. So I love that that's how you closed your segment. AJ was talking about the heart chakra. And that's exactly what you had showed me, Todd, was essentially, what we talk about is the heart chakra is sort of where the kingdom of heaven meets the kingdom of earth, right? It's the in between chakra, but it's that moment of unconditional love. And that's where we hold our self love. That's where we hold our relationships, our friends, all of that, our friends, family, everything is right here, in our heart chakra. And that was really the chakra that really wanted to talk to me most, Todd. And it was about that you're really trying to like learn and live through your heart space right now. And so when you talk about, how can you heal with the chakras, maybe perhaps that you can take what AJ talked about and maybe one of those or maybe all of those things resonated with you. And what really resonated with me for you was the sound, and you can find a lot of stuff on YouTube. You can find so much. I mean, we're so blessed in this digital age that you can find the sound, the vibration on YouTube, on anything that really is going to vibrate and really work with you opening up your heart space. So I think that's going to be really, really beneficial with you. There's something about the sound that all of a sudden, when I put that with your body, your heart just sort of expands and opens up. So I think that's going to be really, really beneficial for you. And I love the idea of laying down, whether you want to go in meditation or whether you're not, but if you lay down with the rose quartz over your heart and you just sort of visualize, if you can, or maybe just knowing or maybe just sensing that your heart chakra is there and is the go-between, right? It's the go-between our upper spiritual chakras and our lower earth plane chakras, and really just visualizing or knowing or sensing or asking your highest and best guides and angels to really just expand your heart space there, because that's really what you're wanting to work through right now. And so I think it's really beautiful for you. So how best you can heal your chakras, Todd, is really just focus your awareness right there in your heart space. And I think when I focus my awareness on your heart space, what happens is your heart talks essentially, and then it just sends information all throughout your heart chakra, all throughout your other chakras. So I really think that if you really work on healing your heart space, then all of a sudden your other chakras are really going to start communicating with the other and really open up and expand even more. So, and then I think, of course, what you do is after you open up your heart space, I think that you will take AJ's advice and start concentrating specifically on each individual one. But I think you first open up your heart space. So I hope that helps you, Todd. All right, so we're up to our third and final question today. And of course, we're not going to keep AJ all day, even though we probably would like to.
I love that.
I'm learning so much. I'm such a geek right now. Okay, so our third question comes from Nancy in Toronto. Shout out to Canada. Of course, AJ lives in Vancouver. And Nancy asks, is it best to open or close my chakras? AJ?
I think that's a great question to ask. And I think as humans, we want to find the answer, right? We want to find the I mean, that's the question, right? What is out there in space? What is the truth of life? And that's the human nature. What I usually go by is the ancient Chinese who realized that there's a mystery out there, and they didn't try to figure it out, but knew that these mysterious energies are there for a reason, and they're there to heal us. So in terms of whether to open or close my chakras and what's best, what I would say is that if you think about it, the chakras are, like I said, the portals. They're whirlpools. They're the doorways between us and the Tao and the universe around us, right? And they govern the inflow and the exit of energies. And the truth is that not all the energies that are out there are good for us or can be processed by our bodies. There's a lot of energies flying around, solar energies emitted by our electronics, our Wi-Fi boxes, and things like that. Um, and the good part is that our higher self and our chakras know exactly what energies are good and will serve our bodies, and what need to be kept outside. And so I think what we need to focus on is just to firstly get in touch with ourselves and get in touch with our intuition, and get into a process of regularly and routinely cleansing and healing and working on our chakras. Because what I find is that the chakras are always in a process of up and down. So they're getting balanced, and then they're getting out of balance, and then getting balanced. So it's always an up and down, which is life, right? Change is all there is, and that's the beauty of it. If our chakras are always perfect and always cleansed, life would not be that exciting, and we would not be part of this adventure. And so the part of the adventure is to have these difficulties and challenges and memories and emotions getting stuck, and that's why we are on this physical plane. So like I said, what I would focus on is to just embark on this routine of whenever you have a moment or whenever you have time to cleanse and balance your chakras, because the chakras have a higher wisdom that they draw from the akashic records that know everything that has happened, is happening, and will happen. And once we do it, once we allow that river of the chakras to flow, we will experience peak health, peak vibrancy, and the chakras will open and will close whenever required, whenever they know best. This is just my understanding based on my experience, but this is what I encourage you to do as well.
Excellent. All right. Well, let me take a peek at Nancy's chakra system. Let's see what pops out for me. So hang on. Let me peek. So Nancy, for you, honey, it's the root chakra. The base chakra. Sometimes you might hear it referred to that. It's your first chakra. And what it looks like to me is if you work on grounding that chakra, then the rest of your chakra system gets to ebb and flow, just the way AJ was mentioning, for your highest and best, might be the way I say it. And let me go to a technical reference. The way your computer works, all electronic circuits, is there's a power supply that's emitting little electrons of copper, and those little electrons move through the circuitry, right? And where they go is to the ground of the circuit. So if you pull up that ground, there's nowhere for those little electrons to go. In other words, your computer doesn't work. So your chakra system, all of our chakra systems, are exactly the same way. So just like AJ said, you might not need to overthink. Do I need to open my heart? Do I need to close my throat? If you'll maybe pay a little bit more attention to grounding that first chakra deep into Mother Earth, all of the rest of the energy will just continue to flow. Now, I do want to say this, that if someone was habitually ungrounded, you wouldn't have a successful life. So we do ground, right? We naturally ground, but also AJ said it, I think, in the first on the first question, that if we take our mind to something, it increases that something. So I would say for you, honey, maybe do some grounding exercises. And of course, I'm going to send Ankiyaya over there to create a nice, sturdy grounding cord for you. And whether you can see it or not, right? Just with your, like we said before, with your knowingness, with your intention. And it's almost like a musical instrument. I think of the chakras sometimes as a symphony, right? Sometimes the oboe is playing louder than the clarinet or something like that. And yet it sounds fantastic. So just work on your grounding, honey. I don't think it's rocket science. That's what I got. So, oh my gosh, that was great. Now, AJ, I know that you're a master manifester. So would you please tell us some of the projects that you're working on that are of interest to you and probably our audience?
Well, absolutely. I mean, my goal with whatever I do, with any project that I embark on, is to ensure how I can support and serve my audience, and especially listeners of my podcast, which we'll get into in a while. But what I found is that, and also I love reading books and learning from a lot of people, including both of you, right? And so what I found is sometimes when people want to understand and learn more about spirituality and having these mystical, amazing experiences, we tend to read books, or we do courses, or we go to workshops, which is amazing and that's great. But what tends to happen is that we then embark on an intellectual pursuit of spirituality, which goes against the very nature of spirituality. And what I found is that there's a fine balance. So if we just go out on our own, we might get lost because there's so much information and information overwhelmed. But at the same time, we cannot, just going on that intellectual pursuit will end up leading us to a different place than we had imagined. And so what I found is that spirituality is a very personal experience, right? And so each one's spirituality is different. And I was thinking, how can I serve my audience, knowing that everyone's spirituality is personal, everyone has their own way of healing their chakras, and there's no one way that matches for all. And it was, I think, in my dreams, or maybe sleeping, and there's this fascinating way for archetypes and people to come into our lives, especially in our dreams, and if required, be firm, right? And so in my mind, Joseph Campbell came to my dreams, because I've read a lot about him, and he said, AJ, spirituality is a very personal experience, and you cannot intellectualize it. And I was like, that hit me. I was like, wow, okay, so in that case, what should I be doing then? Then I realized, and this metaphor came into my mind, that the spiritual experience, especially healing your chakras, is like ascending the mountain, the Himalayas, so to speak. And who do you have with you when you want to summit that mountain? You have who is known as a Sherpa, right? Somebody who is your guide, comes along with your journey, goes to the challenges and trials, and does not at base camp teach you each and everything about the mountains, right? Some information is required, some preparation, but at the end of the day, you need to take the steps towards the summit. And so that's exactly what the project that I'm embarking on right now. It's actually the initial stages. It's the beta enrollment for a program that are called Chakra Sprint. Because spirit does not want you to walk, spirit wants you to sprint. And so the idea over here is very simple, is that I'll be working with people who are part of the program, doing some planning for the summit, doing some preparation, giving them a basic overview of different ways of healing the chakras. Basic, because you don't need to know everything before you jump into the beautiful blue waters of spirit. And then actually doing a 21-day journey where we work on different chakras as we ascend, and use different ways of healing and cleansing the chakras. And the goal is that not only everyone completes this experience, but at the end of it, identify what works for them best, cleanse their chakras, and maybe do it again in the future if they want to, because it's all cyclical, right? And maybe in the next cycle and the next sprint, they get to have a different experience. And so that's what I'm working on right now, Lauren. And Crystal is what I call as Chakra Sprint, because the universe wants you to sprint and fly and not just walk.
Wow, that lit up my chakras. Excellent, AJ. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
So how can we find you, AJ?
So you can learn more about me on my website, which is my7chakras.com, which is also a podcast that is available wherever podcasts are listened to: iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, to name a few. And the other thing is, I've got a special gift for your listeners.
Thanks.
Yeah. So a few years back, I worked with this person, this freelancer. I wrote the chakra script, and I asked her to um, to to say it, and that was a chakra balancing meditation that we came up with, that was deep in my hard drive for a few years, because I never released it. And then life has a funny way of coming back a whole circle, and I found this file, and I was like, why don't I release it? Why am I keeping it in my laptop? And so I've released that. It's called it's at my7chakras.com/chakra meditation, a simple chakra balancing meditation that anyone can go through, especially if they've not had this experience before. So it's my7chakras.com/chakra meditation.
Excellent.
Yeah, I can't wait to sit that. And what I encourage our viewers to do is, after you sit AJ's meditation, please comment below on the experience that you've had. I think that would be really, really beautiful. It's kind of our own MQA experiment. That sounds wonderful. Thanks, AJ, for that great treat.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored.
Well, Crystal, do you think we've done it again?
Well, Lauren and AJ, I do believe we've done it yet again, of course, with the help of our wonderful chakra expert, AJ of My 7 Chakras. Oh my gosh, wasn't that so fun? Where we've made metaphysics crystal clear
and golden delicious.
What a fun treat. What a fun day. So, of course, if you heard your question answered in today's podcast, would you please visit our website at www.metaphysicalqa.com? And there's a free reading button there. And one of us will love to offer you a free reading for answering your question here. And of course, we get all of our answers from you, our viewers and our listeners. So we need your questions. So you can please submit your questions also on our website at www.metaphysicalqa.com. And then you can also find my personal work. Of course, I'm a clairvoyant healer at crystalsunshine.psychicservices.com.
And check me out on the internet at goldenrosepsychic.com and laurencielo.com. And AJ, would you please give our audience your sites as well?
Sure. So to learn more about me, that is my7chakras.com. For your free gift, my7chakras.com/chakra meditation. my7chakras.com/chakra meditation. And if you want to start working on your chakras and embark on this sprint, then go to www.chakrasprint.com.
Excellent. Well, until the next episode, we'll call that a healing. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Please hang up and try again.